At GMC Truck, we built a reputation for truck strengths. A considerable advantage. It also comes in this handy take-home size. Sierra from GMC.
This here is a 1993 GMC Sierra, half-ton, two-wheel drive, extended cab, short bed, on and on, SLE. Looks like he's got a low tire there. 1993, I was 12 years old. Bo already knew everything. Juvenile delinquents everywhere were wearing rat tails. And a nerd in saddle shoes had the whole country saying, "Did I do that?" A couple years ago, I put a new 350 crate motor from GM in here. The old one was worn out and the guy just wanted a crate motor. We also put Summit stainless headers on, all new exhaust. Few other odds and ends, but he texted me the other day and said he had some driveline noise, the battery was dying, something about the radio. Let's start with the battery since we've got to run it and see what the deal is, see if she even wants to crank this morning. Well, it's probably 10 or 15 degrees outside right now, but that was cranking pretty slow. According to the gauge, it's charging, but I'll throw my tester on it. Got a noisy pulley somewhere. I think the tensioner pulley's a little noisy. Well, according to this, it's charging almost at 15 volts. So alternator is working great. So my next task is to know whether or not this battery is just shot, which I'm betting that's the case, or we have an amperage draw when the truck is turned off. So I'm going to throw a charger and charge this slowly for a little while, then we'll test it out. Hey guys, if you're driving around on a tire that looks like this, just cut it out, would you? Okay, another issue he was wanting me to address was a whining that was related to engine speed. And when I hear that, first thing I think of on these is power steering pump. And wouldn't you know, the dipstick's completely dry. Now the hoses, you know, they are oily, but there's no active leak, so to speak, no serious leak. So we'll top that off, see if that fixes the whining problem, and if he wants to replace hoses down the road, then we can do that. Now another thing he had an issue with was he's hearing a clunking noise and a vibration, and all the U-joints seem to be nice and tight. I don't think I touched them last time, but if we go here to the carrier bearing, get in here, and the rubber mount is quite loose, so I think that's his issue there. Okay, the fourth and final issue is, said the radio, no sound comes out of the speakers. most likely that will unfortunately be a internal radio problem. But we'll pop this off and see if we can see anything obvious. Just swing that out of the way. I can show you here, he's got the volume cranked, but we got no sound at all, so. Nothing at all. But we'll pop this out and we'll wiggle some wires with it on and see if we get anything. Those wires are pulled tight. Okay. Let's see if just moving the radio head around will help. Well, I'm afraid not. Everything seems to be connected in there, so I'm sure there are places I can send that in to get repaired. So I'll reinstall this for now. Maybe he'll want to do something about it, maybe he won't. Normally you'd pull the equalizer and the tape deck out and put a radio in there, and then it comes with a cubby hole here that you can put your change and whatever. And you're back to growing the mullet and headbanging to Metallica once again. Alright, the old charger's been on the battery for a while now. Did check the water and it's full, so that wasn't an issue. I don't know where he bought this battery. I don't recognize that brand. Whoa, I mean, not even a slow decline in the scale, it just goes from it just goes down to borderline bad immediately. So I think we're better off just getting a good quality battery and calling it good. So just to be sure, I'm going to check my amperage draw. To do that, I need to shut the underhood light off first. Now I've got direct current amps, my lead in the amps plug. Just go from one to the other. .1 amps. Well, it's about bean time, so I thought I'd run a couple miles home, test drive this car, listen to the drivetrain for myself. See what's going on with the vibration. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely there. Only under power. Yeah, I bet you we replace that bearing and that'll go away. As far as the battery and the amperage draw, I need to disconnect the battery, let it sit for half an hour or so, and then recheck that draw or that drain and see if it's still there. Most likely there's a courtesy light or the radio or something is still pulling a little bit of amperage. Now there could be some milliamps there, but probably not 1/10 of an amp. That seems a little bit high. So when I get back to the shop at work, I'm going to do that, and we'll check that. Otherwise, my parts store in town has everything I need. So hopefully I can get down there tonight and get that, and we'll get to working on this thing. So I turned the corner back there and I heard a loud clunk. Like, oh great, what's that now? And got out at home and shook the truck, and the spare tire is dangling loose on its cable, hitting the exhaust. So we'll cinch that up and that should solve that problem. Now I want to show you something. I was testing for play in the U-joints and didn't come up with any. But when I finally got this rear one pulled out, yeah, there's, yeah, nothing left. That is very unusual. You can tell these are original because the poured plastic keepers are still in it. So when you go to press these out, you need to heat this up, soften that plastic up. That's awful. So I guess I'll be replacing U-joints as well. Well, as is pretty typical, I first tried the hydraulic press, and all I succeeded in was getting the outer mount off the bearing. And then we go to a 2 or a 3 jaw puller and have to clamp the jaws around the shaft, and you only succeed in beating more stuff up. So I end up where I should start to begin with the die grinder and the cutoff wheel, and Got the bearing loose. Wow, it's hot. Yeah, okay. So there we go. Completely demolished, but we got it. And we will get the new one on.
The day has gone from bad to worse. Her simple congestion has suddenly turned into a ragged cough and burning fever. Lisa Halley has the flu, and she knows she'd better get home fast to serious medicine. Doctor recommended Theraflu, soothing hot liquid medicine to ease the body aches, the cough.
And by the way, it's been an hour and a half. Came back to the battery, and we have 30 some odd milliamps, which is well within a normal spec. So the battery is just shot. We don't have a draw. I picked up a battery with a go handle. I hope Derek would be proud. Hootza! Okay, well that's done, and it's pretty straightforward, but if I could offer a helpful hint, one thing I've learned that when you're doing these, always do the hardest to see and hardest to reach first, which is back there, so you don't have this spring tension on the hose, and you can get that lined up a whole lot easier, finger tight. Then come over here, you can use the steel line as a handle and get this fitting lined up nice, and then tighten both down, and you're good to go. I still can't believe I have absolutely no slop in these U-joints, but man, that was just absolutely wasted on that rear one. I'm putting in nice quality spicer. So the first thing we want to do on these, I don't know if this is necessarily a melted plastic that holds these old caps in from the factory, or if it was like a two-part deal, epoxy type of thing. Nevertheless, we want to heat it up so that we can push these out. You can probably achieve this with just a propane torch. I've never tried it, but you should be able to get it hot enough eventually. What we're going to look for, the plastic is going to look like those little snakes that you buy from a fireworks stand. It's going to just grow right out of there. There you can see it coming out. Bottom one's dripping, so we'll come over here. Now you can use a press, you can use a vise. A vise will be a workout, but it can be done. I find the easiest thing to use is this U-joint or the ball joint tool. These things have been dangerous on this project. They keep flying out, hitting the walls. Okay, but on this is one of these models where you can only get one cup out at a time. I can't angle it enough to get the second one out. So then I've got to push it back the way it came. So you kind of want to make sure you got it lined up well. Looks like it started. Telling you, these things just disintegrate on this thing. Okay, halfway done. I'll get that off camera, but I'm going to show you what to do with this plastic. Now you could very well probably get the new ones installed, leaving what's left of the plastic in place. I personally want no complications. So I've driven the punch down through the hole, and that pushes the plastic out of the groove. And well, that one just broke. We'll flip it over in a minute. Let me get this one out. Usually it likes to break in half. Okay. Now that we have that cleaned out, we'll take our little brake cylinder hone. Some brake cleaner. That shined real nice.
You missed that too.
Unbelievable, that is so rude.
Well, you're just in time for Dinosaurs. Check it out.
I need a job!
You got a job right here.
I quit!
That should take your mind off your hair.
I hate this hat.
Alright, let's start putting this new one in. And I just want to re-caution you, at least I think I said it before, if you're doing one of these and you're heating it up with a torch, and when you press it out of there, those cups full of hot little needle bearings and hot grease, they just turn into ballistic missiles sometimes. There's pressure built up inside of them and they just pop. These have been flying all over the place. This one's been worse than it usually has, so just be aware of that. I'm going to start with our new one, and I'm going to start by taking all the cups off. I give them a little twist and pull and make sure all the needles stay in, which they are. Actually going to put those up here. Then since I don't like putting the grease zerk in after the fact, I'm going to do that now. That started. Okay, now we have to do one cup at a time, so I'm going to start with this one. When I'm using this tool, going back together, I like to use a wrench instead of the impact. That way I can tell if something's binding up. I can feel it by hand and stop. So I'm just going to run this back in, and I'm going to run it quite a ways past where it needs to be. Thanks to the fact that we really cleaned everything out, we got that old plastic out. This all moves nice and free. So, okay, I've gone farther than it needs to go, right here. That way I have a little bit of this sticking past, and I can start this cup on that shaft without losing any needle bearings. Well, I say that, there we go. And then before I go back the other way, I'm going to put this keeper on. Well, and if you did everything right and you have the right U-joints, they should not go back together. I mean, they're going to be, it's going to be a bit of a push, but they should not go together hard. You should not have to force stuff. So, I think I'm a little off with my clamp here. You can see I'm just trying to get this clip up against the yoke here. Okay, and I should be able to snap this one in that groove. Voila. Now we're going to put them together again. That'll do. My clip on this side is turned up against the machine raised part inside the yoke there, and I need to turn it. It's stopping my cup from going all the way back out on that side. There we go. So here's the clip, and it was turned too far. It was hitting up against this square edge right there, so this whole thing couldn't slide back to the right. So I had to turn it to where the open end is up against that. There we go. Well, the original grease seal broke. It was hard as a rock, and I couldn't get it over the splines, and it broke instead of stretching. So I just put a new O-ring in there. Probably be better to have a square-edged O-ring, but that's the best I can do right now. Okay, I'm going to grease this thing since it's so handy right now. I'm going to replace the output shaft seal on the transmission, and then we will put this back in. You know, working under a two-wheel drive pickup isn't easy when it's on the ground. All my jack stands, what am I saying? All of my jack stands are holding up a 66 pickup over there for some reason. And I kicked the camera really hard trying to put the drive shaft back in, so I just stopped filming. But anyway, we got that in. Carrier bearing, slip joint, and on back to the differential. So that should be good to go. A lot of vibration should be gone because, man, even though those U-joints seem nice and tight, they had to have been causing problems. Plus that carrier bearing was so loose. So what have we got? Battery, power steering. We'll talk to him about a radio in the future. Drive shaft vibration. I'm gonna cinch up the spare tire, and then we'll go for a test drive.
What's in is out, what's out is in. If you don't know, well, where on earth have you been? Yeah. Don't try to sell me, I know what tastes good. We know while the best things always so misunderstood. Just give me what the doctor ordered. Just what the doctor ordered. Hey, give me a Dr. Pepper. We want it. Hey, Dr. Pepper. Dr. Ordered. The taste of fame. We love it.
Well, she's a cruiser now. A lot better. I think if he gets decent tires back on this truck, it'll be smooth sailing. So thanks for joining me. I know it was a little different, a lot newer of a project than we're used to doing. But this has been one of my projects in recent years, and I thought I'd share a little bit with you. We'll see you later.